She told me she was tired of me not being enough, then smirked and said, "Maybe you should have tried harder." My friends turned on me. I just picked up my things and walked out. The next day, I woke up to 47 missed calls. The night wasn't supposed to end like that. It started like any other Friday, a lazy evening after a long week of work. Jenna and I had been together for 3 years, long enough to think we'd figured each other out. There was a rhythm to our relationship, a kind of comfortable lull we both enjoyed. But somewhere, in the last few months, that rhythm had started to fade. That I'd been noticing the small signs. The half-hearted smiles, the nights spent apart, the subtle excuses. She was always busy, always tired, but I never wanted to admit it, at least not to myself. I convinced myself that we were just going through a phase. We'd come out of it. That's what I kept telling myself. But now, sitting on the couch, the air between us felt different. Something was off in the way she held herself. It wasn't the familiar, affectionate posture I'd grown used to. It was more guarded, distant. I could feel the walls going up, brick by brick, and the more I tried to push through them, the harder it became. And then she said it. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice unusually calm that I felt my stomach tighten. There was something in her eyes that I didn't like, something that sent a wave of panic rushing through me. I could tell this wasn't just an argument or a miscommunication. This was different. This felt like the moment everything changed. "What is it?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Her lips curved into a thin, almost mocking smile. "I cheated on you." Couldn't breathe. I didn't say anything at first. The words bounced around in my brain, but none of them came out. I just stared at her, as though waiting for some kind of explanation, as if this couldn't possibly be real. Maybe I heard wrong? Maybe I misunderstood. She didn't give me a chance to respond. Her voice was casual, detached, like we were discussing the weather or a minor inconvenience. "I needed someone who could give me what you couldn't," she continued, her gaze never leaving mine. "You stopped being enough for me. You were always so predictable." Her words stung like a slap to the face, but I couldn't find my voice. My mind was racing through a million scenarios, trying to piece together what had happened in the last few months. Why I hadn't seen it coming, why I hadn't noticed the shift. "What do you mean?" I finally managed to say, barely above a whisper. My throat felt tight, constricted. I needed air, but I couldn't seem to get enough. She leaned back into the couch, crossing her arms over her chest, as if this was all perfectly normal. I don't feel anything anymore. I haven't for a while. You were always there for me, but you weren't there, you know? I needed someone who could make me feel alive again. Someone who wasn't just stuck in the same boring routine we've been living in for months. The words kept coming, like poison, slow and steady, seeping into my skin. Each one felt like a jab, a reminder that I hadn't been good enough. I had spent all this time trying to make things work, trying to keep her happy, but I never realized that it wasn't about me at all. It wasn't about what I could do or how much I tried. It was about what she needed, and I wasn't it. A wave of heat rushed to my head, my chest tightening with a mixture of anger and hurt. I opened my mouth to speak, but she beat me to it. "I don't want to hurt you," she said, her eyes softening for the briefest moment. "But it's the truth, and I'm tired of pretending." My hands clenched into fists at my sides. The anger was starting to rise, but I didn't let it out. I had to stay calm. I had to make sense of this, even if it didn't make any sense at all. "So that's it? You just cheated on me? For what?" I asked, the words slipping out of my mouth before I could stop them. I wasn't angry with her anymore. I was angry at myself for not seeing the signs sooner, for giving so much and getting so little in return. Her smirk returned, cruel and cold, for the excitement, for the feeling of being wanted. I needed to feel like I was more than just Jenna, your girlfriend. I stared at her, trying to understand. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was sitting right in front of me, completely indifferent to the devastation she had just unleashed. "You think this is about me?" she added, almost as if she were speaking to herself. "It's not. It's about me. I needed to feel wanted, like I was special again. And you couldn't give me that. I stood up slowly, not trusting myself to say anything in that moment. What could I even say? What could I possibly say to make this right, to fix something that had been broken far before tonight? She had already made her choice, and I wasn't the one she had chosen. Maybe you should have tried harder, she added, her voice laced with a cruel finality. Something inside me snapped. I had tried so hard for her. But it wasn't about me. It was about her need for something bigger, something more thrilling than what we had. I had no place in that world, no space in her vision of who she wanted to be. Without thinking, I grabbed my keys from the coffee table, the weight of them grounding me, reminding me that I still had control over my own life. I'm done, I said, turning toward the door. She didn't try to stop me. She didn't move, didn't speak. It was like she didn't even care anymore. I walked out, each step heavier than the last. The apartment door clicked shut behind me, and it was like a wave crashed over me. I was free, but I was also hollow. It was a relief, but it was also a loss. I spent the rest of the night wandering aimlessly, driving through the city without a real destination in mind. I ended up at a 24-hour diner, just sitting there in a booth, drinking coffee, staring out the window, trying to figure out what had happened, what I had missed. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized something. It didn't matter. It wasn't about what I had missed. It was about what she had already decided. And I couldn't change that. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls. I didn't need to check them to know who they were from. Jenna had been calling nonstop, her desperation clear in the dozens of texts and voicemails she had left. The first one came through at 6 a.m., a broken message. Why aren't you answering me? Please, we need to talk. I'm sorry. Please come home. Then the texts started pouring in. This isn't you. You don't leave without an explanation. We need to fix this. I didn't mean it like that. I swear. You're my everything. Please just listen. By noon, my phone was buzzing every 5 minutes. 32 missed calls. But I didn't answer. Instead, I just sat in silence, looking at the screen. I was tempted to pick up the phone, to hear her voice, to hear her apologize. Part of me wanted to go back, to fix things, but I knew deep down that it wasn't about fixing. It was about me realizing that I didn't deserve to be with someone who didn't value me, someone who didn't think I was enough. The final text came in an hour before sunset. Please don't do this. Don't leave me. I didn't respond. Instead, I put the phone on silent and walked away from it. It wasn't easy. It wasn't painless, but it was necessary. I needed to let go. And even if I couldn't quite find the piece I was looking for yet, I knew one thing for sure. I was done trying to make someone love me who couldn't even love herself. I was done. And that felt like the only thing worth holding on to now.